Bill Embry is a former PE, health, assistant principal in the Grayson County school system, and still substitute teaching. What are you, a glutton for punishment?
I guess I am. Can't get enough. I'm probably getting close to as bad as Elmer McGee.
Well, it's good to see you. Where did you go to elementary and high school?
Well, I went to elementary school at Litchfield, the old Litchfield school, and then I went 2 years actually at Caneyville. Then I came back to Litchfield in the sixth grade and went through Litchfield middle school and high school.
Did you go to Western?
I did. I went to Western.
At what point did you know you wanted to be an educator?
I'd actually started out was going to be a geography major, and I found out that didn't look too good, so I decided I'd try to get in. I wanted to coach, and of course ended up being in football. But at that time, I played baseball at Western, and at that time I thought, well, I'd like to be a baseball coach. But so I decided to get in phys ed and have a minor as health, and was my freshman year in college.
Was your first job at Grayson County High School?
No, actually, my first job was at McQuady Elementary over in Breckenridge County. Back in those days, there wasn't any site base or anything, and I'd heard they needed somebody over there to coach and teach, and I went over and talked to the superintendent, and they said, well, will you coach football and basketball and baseball and track? And I said, yeah. They said, you're hired. And so I taught at McQuady Elementary, a very, very small school, only had like 12 eighth grade boys, I think, something like that. So,
did you know Mick Caba before you came back to Grayson County High School?
Well, yes. He's actually how I got into football. Me and my wife was at McDonald's in E-Town one day, and I just had known of him, and I saw him, and I was talking to him, and I said, Coach, and Gerald Claypool, if you might remember that name, he'd offered me a job from McQuady to teach PE at Wilkie. And I said, now, Coach, I said, I don't know much about football, but I said, if you need me to help you with junior pro or something like that, I'd be glad to. And he kind of grinned, didn't say anything. And the next morning, I got a call from the superintendent. He said, Bill, he said, do you want to teach at the high school? And I said, well, yeah, I'd rather. He said, if you'll help Caba coach football, we'll give you a job at the high school. I said, well, I'll go talk to him about it. And he said, he's waiting on you now at practice. So I actually go out, and they was practicing over behind the middle school at that time in the summer. And I went out there, and I didn't know much. I had my blue jeans on, probably some work boots. And I went down, and if you might remember, Don Rollins was assistant. He said, go down there and Coach Rollins to show you what to do. So I'll go down there, and he had these guys doing this, and he said, you take them over here and do this and this and this. And he called it the Richie and Louie technique. And I said, Coach, I said, you may ought to do that and let me watch. I'll do it tomorrow. So anyway, that's how I got my start under Mick Caba. And, of course, we became good friends, him and his wife and me and my wife, and he's a wonderful man.
I guess little did you know then you would end up wearing the head coaching shorts and the whistle. Your head coaching career got off to a pretty good start. We talk a lot over the last 40-plus years about 1982 in particular. Just kind of tell me your thoughts about the 1982 Cougar football team.
Okay, and before I get to that, of course, I coached 2 years under Vic Clark and 2 years under Don Rollins. And then actually 81 year, we probably had maybe a better team than 82. We had, and I can say that because these same kids were, juniors, and I had a whole lot of seniors, and then we had a young man that transferred out, so we wasn't supposed to be very good in 1982. We only had like 20-something players and about 15 that could play. But they were a gutty bunch. You can't name one over the other. They was about all almost equal. Just hard-nosed, tough kids. We lost our first game to Edmonson County, and I guess it made them mad. So, we went back to work and played real hard. And, of course, back then it was only 4 classes, and we had sub-districts. We won our sub-district, and then we won the district. We beat Elizabethtown, and then we had to go to Franklin County, and this was 82, and if we beat Franklin County, we're one game away from going to Louisville. Back then, now it's at Lexington, but back then it was at Louisville. So we was one game away. So we go to Franklin County, and they had a real good team, but they had two running backs that were track record holders. I mean, they were fast, and we played them, and I'd be willing to bet that was the coldest night ever that anybody played football in the state of Kentucky. It was spitting sleet and snow, and it was about, wind was high, and their field was just a glaze of ice. And Franklin County got the ball, and they run an option play, and this guy ran about 75 or 80 yards for a touchdown. And then we got it and stumbled around there and didn't do anything, and they got it and run another play the same way, 12-0. They couldn't kick extra points. And then all of a sudden we grounded out. We drove the field, made it 12-7. There's still 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. And they got it and handed it to that other running back up the middle, and he goes 80 yards, so it's 20-7. And we still got 5 minutes to go in the first quarter, and I thought, man, what is this? So we grinded out again, so we score, and it's 20-14. And we'd given them about 260 yards on those three plays, and we only gave them 20 for the rest of the game. And we plugged around there, and finally in the fourth quarter, we drove the field and got down inside and scored and kicked our extra point, beat them 21-20. And that was how we got to go to the Final Four.
It seems like throughout history, anytime you go back to talk about excellence in Cougar football, that's the period that you go to. Now, from the early 80s, there's probably a pretty low valley, that we kind of went through in the 2000s or so and came back up the other side in the last 15 years or so. In particular, the last couple of seasons, we've had a couple of programs that get compared to the 82 team a lot. As a former head coach and as kind of the architect of the 82 team, how does it make you feel looking at the 23 and 24 team?
Well, I've watched them play. I'm telling Sam I don't really go as much as I need to. But I've go watch them, and a lot of those kids whose parents played for me, the Chaffins and there's some others, But we just hope that they, can go and get another Final Four. That would be nice to, for them to remember and maybe hang two banners in the gym down there that says Final Four, or even further than that. But I know they were doing a real good job right now, and I wish them the best of luck.
I heard Coach Jones mention last week that there are a lot of players now that they're experiencing some of these things like proclamations and Cougar walks and being championed and people coming up to them and telling them how great they are, that when they get to be parents, they'll have kids that don't experience those types of things, and it'll be even more special to them then, won't you imagine?
I'm sure it will be. And, you mentioned parents, and I've got to go back a little bit, back into those 80s, and all the time I was there, we had a super booster club, and the parents were absolutely wonderful. And I got to take my hat off to my wife, who was so supportive of me all during that time, and I never could have done it without all those, and of course the assistant coaches and the players. But and I know Roger Lush is doing a great job, keeping up with the Cougar football memorabilia, and so we just really think about all those things, and there'll be memories. I get these kids all the time come up to me and tell them what it meant to them, to have to get up early in the morning and go out there and when you didn't feel like it, and go through that toughness. It made them tougher and made them better in life.
Speaking of Denise, what do you all spend times staying busy doing? What types of activities? You got grandchildren that you keep track of? Yeah,
we got some grandchildren, and we, of course, I was telling Sam, I do a little bit of woodworking. I make clocks. She paints them up. She does a great job doing the painting and putting names on them and stuff, and we do a lot of other things. But we travel. We went out to California. Daughter lives out there, and we went out there for a couple of weeks, and so we other grandkids live in Bowling Green. We go down there and they play different sports, and we watch them play, and that's pretty much it.
I've got some of your craftsmanship in my bedroom. I see it every day, as a matter of fact, so I think of you often when I see that. One more thing about Denise. Was she the reason that banana pudding at pregame became a tradition?
Actually, she had a big part in that, but and I can't think of her last name, but Susie Garrett maybe started it one Thursday night, brought some bananas out there. She said, that'll keep them from cramping tomorrow night. And that kind of led to the banana pudding, banana everything, on Thursday night after we'd have a pregame. And Denise would, she'd do a lot of it herself. But like I say, there was 4 or 5 of those ladies and men that would do different dishes, and bananas would be the theme.
When I talked to Coach Huffman earlier in the season, he said that when you all get together, when you talk, quite frequently Camp Loucon comes up.
Yeah, Camp Loucon, of course, before we went to Camp Loucon, we went to All Saints over in Rufford for about 3 years. And there's a lot of good memories, and of course, that hadn't happened, I don't think, since I quit coaching, but that experience, I think the kids will remember that till, when they're in the rocking chair, because you got them in there and they're yours, and they have a great big time. We had fun, but we worked hard, and we ate, and it was well worth the money. And again, there's the boosters who would pay for all that, and so that camp. All Saints and Lucan, I don't know how many years we went, probably 2 or 3 at All Saints and 3 or 4 or 5 or so at Lucan, or maybe more than that. But it was well worth the money. It was fun and a lot of memories there.
Well, you had to deal with some standout athletes, the Marty Haycrafts of the world. Your son Jared was a great athlete. Sean Logson was a great athlete. On the other side of the coin, you had to deal with really below-average people like myself. But I am grateful for your time and energies that you invested in us.
Yeah, well, in your case, I was telling Sam a while ago, it takes at least 2 years to figure out football. And 1 year, you kind of you think but you don't. And I was telling him we had a couple of guys that ended up being All-Americans at Kentucky Wesleyan that didn't play until they was a junior. And I'll mention their name, Ryan Davis and Brack Vickery, and they wasn't very good as juniors, to be honest with you. I mean, they were okay because they were athletic. But when they was seniors, they ended up being really good. And they ended up going to Kentucky Wesleyan and being like little All-Americans and held different kinds of records. So for anybody that might want to play, start. I don't think you really have to start when you're in the 5th or 6th grade, but you need to start by the time you're in the middle school, at least, and because you just little things that you pick up throughout, practices and everything else, and it don't just come natural.
On the show this week, I sort of teased that I was going to share with you that I have a particular love of a food item thanks to you, and it's not banana pudding, which most people would think that it is, but in addition to having you as a coach, I had you as a PE teacher as well, and I had you, I think, for maybe 3rd or 4th period, which is when we went to lunch. And so you and Coach Sapp, when we would leave the gym, we'd get out into the band hallway. You all would turn left and go to the cafeteria, and Cole and several others and we would turn right and go to town and have lunch for Chicken Littles at KFC.
Is that right? I don't know if I remember that, but
I hope you don't remember that. We thought you didn't know about it, so maybe this is news to you.
It is news to me. I guess I was pretty naive back in those days.
No, you were just motivated to get to the Commons and get your own lunch.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't miss too many lunches.
Listen, thanks for your dedication to not only Cougar football, but to the administration, the multiple schools you've been at, still serving as well. I truly appreciate you.
All right, thank you very much.
That's Coach Bill Embry. Our guest on Cougar Conversations is part of our GCHS 50 celebration.